Hello and welcome to another Clay Creator build. Today's model is our key stage 2 version of the Firefighter. Hopefully your model will look a little like this at the end. And we will need today, we'll need our scales, our creator cards and tools, all our pots of clay, and if possible a airtight container to help keep the model fresh during the build. It could be anything from Tupperware, lunchbox, anything like that. Just like I say, keeping the model fresh during the build. Before we get started though, I'm going to go over the key facts of Firefighters. Hopefully there's some new information here that you can use, take on board, and it might come up again with our activity sheets, word searches, crosswords, again, which you may use later on. So, fact number 1. Firefighters are expected to be able to get dressed into their protective equipment from their regular clothes in under 2 minutes. So if there is an emergency, they need to be ready super quick, like I say, in under 2 minutes. Fact number 2, before a fighter can get into the action, can go into a burning building, they must have spent a minimum of 100 hours learning and training. Fact number 3, on average, 105 people are saved every day by a firefighter. This can be from fires themselves, floods, road accidents, anything like that, chemical spills. So on average, it's 105 people a day. Fact number 4, moving on from averages, there were over 38,000 people rescued by firefighters last year alone. Okay. Fact number 5, the highest rank a firefighter can become, so when you are at the top of the fire chain, you would be called the fire chief, and you are basically in charge of all other areas of the firefighters. Okay. Fact number 6, unfortunately, most fires are caused by children playing with matches, candles, cigarettes, things like that. Unfortunately, like I say, it is you guys at home, so please be careful and don't play with fire. And again, fact number 7, moving on, surprisingly, there are only 6.4% of all firefighters that are female. Okay, so hopefully we can get a few more a few more percent on that. And finally, fact number 8: the captain is basically the fire chief. Not quite, obviously, the highest rank, but the captain will sit across from the driver in the fire engine. So you've got the driver, normal firefighter, and then across from him, basically at the front, will be the captain of the team. Okay, on to the main model build, and we're going to mix the main colour to start off with, which is a deep dark blue. So if we can start off by grabbing our blue clay, obviously turning on our scales and making sure they're at 0 and on the right unit, which is grams, and we're going to measure out 6 grams of blue. Fantastic. Any extra clay away into the pots with lids on, and the black that we're going to measure out is 1.08, so 1.80 please. Brilliant. Okay, and we'll get those mixed together, which will give us a nice deep, like I say, really dark navy blue. Once we've got this mixed, this will be split between the legs, the body, a little collar around the top of the jacket, and our 2 arms. So what we will do to start off with is measure out the leg measurement. I'm happy with that. And the legs are going to be measured out at 1 gram, so 100 of this dark blue. If it's a touch over, it's absolutely fine. So I'm at 1.04 there, and I'm going to use that. Okay. Rest of the clay away in an airtight container. Keep it nice and fresh for the time being. Lid on. Right. The legs doesn't have to be exactly the same shape as we are using. but we do need to start off with a nice smooth round ball. So I'll just use my hands to roll that out. You can use the work surface or your table, depending on what works best for you. However you find you get the best results. So we've got a nice round ball. Okay, all we're going to do with this is flatten it out slightly. We're going to kind of go with a rectangular kind of oval. It doesn't matter if it's rectangular, it doesn't matter if it's oval. I'm going to give you kind of an example what I would do. So I've flattened it out, I've pressed it down gently, and it's kind of gone into a disc. All I'm going to do is pinch the side slightly, and it's kind of going into more of a rectangular kind of shape. So now we're more this kind of size. Okay, all I'm going to do then is put a little slit or a little cut into the middle, and it's kind of going to show the shape of the legs as we go. I'm just using my tool, I'm very gently putting a mark in the middle on the side, on the front there, and I'm going to carry on with that mark and just cut it through, open it slightly. It kind of gives us a letter C, so you can see, oops, I've gone the wrong way around there. So you can look at it there. Okay, so I'm going to leave that on the table, and we're going to move on to the feet quickly now, and the feet are just going to go underneath the legs here. So we're going to grab our black clay, and our feet are going to be measured out at 0 to 0 grams. So just 2 little balls of black clay. Wow, good measuring today. These 2 little black balls then, so if we roll them out as usual to get them nice and smooth, again using work surface, using your hands, what works best for you. Now all we're going to do is press down at one end, kind of flattens one end and gives us a raised part at the front of the foot, as in the toes. Looking for that kind of shape. If I turn them to face you, or face the screen, so you've got the raised bit closest to you, I'm going to take my legs, again with the cut down the middle, I'm going to put the actual front part, this bit, again closest to you, under the flattened parts. So technically the feet are just sticking out the front. Don't need to be super tidy, we can tidy that up as you go. You should be getting something that looks like this. Okay, again it won't sit upright until later on. At the moment he's going to kind of fall down and lean backwards, but as long as we've got that gap down the middle, it's absolutely fine for now. If you want to carry that line all the way around the back, again to carry on with the impression of trousers, it's absolutely fine. I've carried on from the bottom, and you've just got a little line up the back. Okay, what we're going to do now, we're going to put that into the airtight container, and we'll grab the rest of the clay out. I'm going to swap over, and we're going to move on to measuring out the body. Put them in there, and the body is going to be weighed out at 5 grams, so 500 of the dark blue clay. Again, scales on, back to 0. So 500, which will leave me some clay left over for the arms and the collar. Fantastic. Again, spare clay back into the pot along with the legs and the feet, keeping it fresh for later on. Okay. Again, roll this back into a circle, get rid of all the lumps and bumps, freshen it out, roll it into our starting shape, the circle or the ball, again using your hands or the work surface. Try and get that nice and even. Now the shape of the body is more of a kind of a thick kind of sausage. It's more of a large Kinder egg sort of shape. So what I'm going to do is just gently roll it out on the table, not pressing down too hard, trying to get a nice even pressure all the way along. And then I can use the work surface or your table, just give it a flatter bottom. And as you can see now, mine will stand upright. If I bring it to the camera a little bit, that's the sort of shape we're looking for. Okay. Now again, as your clay is going to dry, you won't be able to put details on. So what I'll do now, I'm going to take my tool, I'm going to put a little line down the middle, as in the front of the jacket, as in where it would fasten closed, fasten up. So just a little line. Now you can do that as much detail as you want. If you want to put little crosses in, little markers in where the jacket would close, like the zip and things like that, it's up to you. So I've just done a few up the front. So you've got something that looks like that. Okay. Again, before the clay dries out too much, we're going to stick on our yellow band around the bottom of the jacket. Okay, but again, I don't want this to dry out, so I'm going to put this into my airtight container whilst we work on the yellow band. So away in the container, and I'm going to collect my yellow clay. Okay, now this bit of measuring is, it's not precise, it's not exact, if that makes sense. It's kind of a between, it's what works out best for you. It's how, the thinner this line or band that we make, the better. But again, the thinner it gets, the more tricky it gets. So it's what you find most comfortable. I normally measure between 0.5 centimeters and 1 centimeter on your creator card, so the measuring balls, and it's then rolled out into a really thin line. Okay, and when we roll it out, it needs to be around about 8.59 centimeters. Okay, so basically we put it out to the vault and we're going to roll it out really thin. And again, some people can get it really thin and neat, some can't. Okay, so I'm rolling this out, and again, already I'm making mistakes and messing it up a little bit, so I've got to again press down gently all the way along. And again, if you can't quite get it nice and even all the way along, it might be that you need to add more clay to get the effect that you need. Okay, so this is going to go all the way around the jacket. Now I'm starting to get pretty good, pretty even one. Again, don't worry if you don't get this right straight away. You can pause the video and do it again until you get it right, until you're happy. Worst case scenario, you ask for a little bit of help and guidance from whoever's alongside you today, or whoever's helping. Mom, dad, and anybody who's there who might be able to help you out get this a little bit thinner. So I'm pretty happy. Let's see how far we've got that out. So I'm roughly 8.5 centimeters, just over 8.5 centimeters there. So I should have enough to get around nice and easy. So lid on again. I said this bit may be a little bit delicate, so you want to be careful, because once you get this, put this onto your jacket, it kind of stays. So you have to be very careful to get it into the right place. And so we're going to put it around the bottom of the jacket. I'm going to try and be as careful as possible and keep it as even as possible all the way around. Okay, so starting at that line in the middle that we did round the front, we're going to start one side and go all the way around. Try not to have them actually touching at the front, if that makes sense. If I pop this on. So just up a little bit off the bottom, stick it on at the front, gently press it. Oops, mine's already fallen off. Gently pressing on around the bottom. Again, not pressing too hard. The more you press, the less neat it will become. And mine is a touch too long. I'm going to try and snap a little bit off. Got away with it. And we just bring them together at the front. Gently press, gently put it where you need it. My band, I'm very happy with how that's turned out. So it should go all the way around, nice and even, all the way around the body, connect around the front again. If you want to have it just gently going into our zip or our fasten at the front, it's absolutely fine. And again, I will at this point just give the line down the middle a little open. Okay, very happy with that. What we're going to do quickly is the collar to sit on the top here, and this is just a little bit of clay again. The collar is going to be measured out using our creator card. We're going to use the 1 cm measurement, so a little ball that will fit inside the 1 cm. Again, going back to the dark blue clay, 1 cm ball. Remembering, looking over the top, you do need to be able to see the outline of that marker on the card still. Again, rest of the clay away. And what we're going to do for the colour, from a nice round ball, we're going to roll this out to around about 4 or 5 centimeters, probably nearer the 4, because what we're going to do, we're going to press down and flatten it out, and as we flatten it out, we'll make it a little bit longer. So again, adding gentle pressure, nice and even, to around about 4 or 5 centimeters. And then all we're going to do is gently press down, turn it into a kind of a flat worm. And all we're going to do is wrap this around the top, leaving it open at the front. And this is where the head's going to sit afterwards. So we should have this sort of shape, and nice and thin. And I'm just going to wrap it onto the top of him. Again, you might need to do a little bit of fiddling, a little bit of jigging, but we should leave a nice open gap for the head to go onto later on, like so. Okay, we'll put that away again into the airtight container, and we are going to mix the flesh colour now that we would need for his head and his hands. Okay, so it scales on again, making sure they're at 0, and we're going to need 3 colours for this. We're going to need white, yellow and red, and the difference with this is that with the with the red measurement at the end, the red is kind of, it can be tweaked slightly. If you want a little bit more of a pink face, you'd add a touch more red, and so on. Okay, so starting off with our white measurement, we are going to measure out 1 dot or 1.95 of white. Okay, fantastic. Onto the yellow. The yellow is going to be 0.30, and finally the red will be a 0.10, but we'll go back to that. Okay, so 0.30 of yellow. Oh wow, dead on with my measurement today. And like I said, 0.10 of red. So not a big amount of red. Oops. And again, like I mentioned, we can add to this if it's not 100% the colour you're kind of looking for. Okay. Mix all 3 together. And it looks like I may have added a touch too much red. Now that's the thing, everybody will add slightly more. A pinch or a little measurement might be slightly different to somebody else's measurement. But that's a good thing. Everyone's models should be slightly different. I can't imagine everybody's are going to be perfect. Actually, it's turned out really good. Okay. So again, we're going to take a little bit off this. We need hands, and we also need a little nose keeping separate, okay? So all we're going to do is take those pinches off. Now the hands themselves are measured at, I'm going to just double check I've got this right. Yes, again, 0.10 for the hands. So only small for the hands. Fantastic. And the nose can be even smaller pinch. We're only going to be putting a tiny little nose on. Perfect. So nose, tiny little pinch, even smaller than the 2 hands. Okay. The rest of this is what we're going to use for the head. We're going to build this now work on this, decorate it slightly, then save it. We'll add hair and the helmet on afterwards, okay? But again, I need to use this first, pop these bits in here to keep them fresh. Now try and keep everything away from one another so they don't touch inside here, okay? Keeping them fresh for later on. Okay. Onto the head then. And again, just giving it a little mix, a little freshen up. I'm going to roll that into a ball as my starting point. Okay. Again, if you want to use the table, more than welcome to. What works best for you. I'm going to start off by putting a mouth on here so we know where the kind of starting point is. Now, once we've kind of go along, it will make more sense why I'm going to explain this next section. When we're going to put the helmet on, we're going to put a helmet on the head. And if we don't flatten part of this head now, the helmet won't really sit right. So if we can get the shape right now, I'll then add the mouth in the right place. So what we're going to do, we're going to kind of turn this into more of a dome shape. So if I left this here, as you can see, I'm starting to get a flat part at the bottom. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to help that along by pressing down whilst turning. So I'm going to turn it slightly, press down, and it's turning it into more of a dome. So I've got a flat and a dome, okay, which is the kind of shape we need at the top. The helmet will sit on the dome at the top, so I'm going to press that down a touch. Now, most of the time when you are working on facial details and we're adding and being careful, your other hand, so my hand here, as I'm holding, will sometimes squish. So we've got to be very gentle and careful whilst I'm holding this, whilst I'm doing the mouth, whilst I'm doing the eyes. I've got to be nice and gentle with the other hand. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to get that mouth on so we've got our starting point. So like I say, the flat part is going to be the top, so I'm going to just put a little smile at the bottom. I want a happy firefighter. I'm just using my tool, give it a little smile. Okay. Then I want to get two eyes on there, start off with. So again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it on the flat part. Keep that bit a little fresher. Okay. Whilst we're doing that, grab the white clay, and I'm going to do two very small eyes. Okay. So to start off with, I'm going to measure out a 0.5, and I'm going to split that 0.5 centimeter measurement off my creator card. I'm going to split that in half. You can use your tool, you can use your hands, it's up to you. I've split that in half, and to be honest, I think I'm going to do it again. I like my details to be a little bit smaller and a little bit neater. If you struggle to get them that small, again, you could always ask Mom, Dad, whoever's helping out today, or again, keep that a little bit bigger. It's completely up to you. I'm going to press that down slightly, make them a little bit flatter, and I'm then going to put them onto my head where I'm happy, okay? Not right at the very, very top of the head. Leave it a little bit of room for the mouth, for the nose, sorry. And I'm going to then put the nose on right in the middle now. Back to my pot, my airtight container. Grab that smallest, wherever it's gone. Now when you go to do this bit, you might think, actually my nose is a little bit too big, because I'm doing that now. I'm thinking that might be a touch big. So I'm just going to take a little bit off again. And with the nose, all we're going to do is a little round roll. So just roll that smooth. If you want to change that, that's fine. If you want to make it a little bit more nose shaped, completely up to you. So between the eyes, whoops, above the mouth, and then just give it a little press on. We should end up with something like this. Okay. Now the iris, we're going to put some iris on there in a minute. That's going to be the next colour that we're going to use. So we're going to mix the hair colour now. So I'm going to put the head back into the airtight container, get onto the mix. We will put all these bits together very shortly. So we're going to mix the hair, pop the hair onto the head, do the iris, and then we will sort the helmet out, put the helmet on, and we will then put all the pieces together. Okay, so I'm going to start off, scales back on at 0, and this time we're going to be mixing yellow, blue, and red to get our brown color. The yellow measurement for the hair is going to be a 0.45, so 0.45 of yellow. It's going to be way too much. 0.45. Blue, only a small amount of blue. We only need 0.10 of blue, sorry. Okay, and finally the red, a little bit more. We need a 0.20 of red. Okay, get all three mixed together, and that will give us our brown. Now the brown is, like I said, for the hair and two tiny little parts for the eye, the iris. So once this is mixed, before we move on to actually doing the hair and putting the hair onto the head, we're going to do the two tiny little bits for the eyes. So I've mixed a nice brown, and this is going to be split. Like I said, two tiny bits. We're going to have basically 3 parts for the hair. We're going to have 2 strips around the side and 1 left for the ponytail, which I will explain shortly. I'm going to take a tiny little pinch off now, which I will use for the eyes, and we're going to literally get onto this straight away. So I'm going to get the head back out. I'm going to get these 2 little parts for the eyes. So I'm going to chop this really small. Oops. As long as your 2 tiny little balls are the same size, you should get a good effect on the eye. Okay, again, placing back onto the top, onto the flat part, any extra brown clay that you've got back into the rest of it. Okay, give it a little mix. Like that, we are going to split this into 3 now. Okay, now the measurements for the 2 side bits around the side are going to be 1 centimeter off your Clay Creator card. Again, the hair is a little bit open to work. If you do a 1 centimeter and you're not happy with what you've done, you can put a little bit more on, take a little bit off. The ponytail part gives us plenty to play with, if that kind of comes across correct. So I've got 2 there and I've got plenty left over here. To be honest, I might add a little bit more. What sort of shape that we're looking for, we will go from that 1 centimeter, we roll it out into a flatter sausage, and then we press down, make it flat again like we did with the collar. And then at one end of this, it can be flattened out even more, which hopefully will all kind of be explained as we put it onto the head. So I've got very flat, but it's kind of wobbly at one end. Okay, what happens is the end that's not so flat will curve around the front, and the flatter part at the back will curve around at the back. So I'm going to do that again with the other one. Rolling out around about 3-4 centimeters would be fine, but like I say, very much open to interpretation. You can change this around if you want to do a different way. You're more than welcome to. So I've flattened that out. I'm going to put it on. just around the brim. As you can see here, I'm just starting to bring it round onto the top corner. So I've got the first one on. It just curves round, finishes around the back. Same with the other one. And in fact reaching the meeting point at the back, which will get tidied up with the ponytail, which we can put on afterwards, after we've done the hat, or the helmet should I say, sorry. So we can now put these, whilst we work on the helmet, again back into our airtight container to keep it nice and fresh. Again, I will actually place head down on the flat surface again, and we'll get all these together shortly. Okay, the helmet is yellow, and we're going to do this in 2 stages with a little bit of decoration at the end. Okay, the helmet is again measured on the scales. So again, scales on, back to 0, and we're going to go for a 0.80, so 0.80, and sorry, the second measurement is a 0 or 0.50. So I've got my 0.8, and I will describe it. This is basically, it's going to be the dome, the top part of the helmet, and then I've got the rim, like I said, which is 0.50. Okay, clay away. So starting with the rim, so the 0.50 measurement, I'm going to get rid of that, roll it into a ball, starting off as usual, in a nice smooth ball. We're just going to press this one down. We're going to make this one flat, starting off with a ball, but it's more of a kind of a tear shape or a pear shape that we're looking for. So as I'm pressing down, instead of keeping it as a circle, I'm going to start pressing the back a little bit. I can use my tool to kind of shape around the outside. We need this to be pretty flat, but not to the point where it's going through to the work surface that you're working on. So evenly trying to get it flattened out. Again, if you don't get this right straight away, it's not a problem. You can start again. You can touch. Touch it up. You can change the shape, and like I say, worst case scenario, pick it up, go back to the start off with the ball, and go from there. Okay. So if I can get this off the surface for you, so I'm looking for this sort of shape. I've squished one in now, and that kind of depth. Okay. And the dome that I spoke about, which is the other measurement, is going to go on the top. So we're kind of going to go with the same sort of shape as what you've done there, but this time it's going to be 3D and have a point at the top. So again, starting off with a ball. It's a little bit of molding with your hands. It's not as simple as saying this shape. So what I will do, I'm going to pinch a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to pinch at the top. I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom start. I'm pinching at the top, which is going to kind of give me a pointy, triangle-y kind of shape. Okay, I'm going to do the same and keep going and stretching it, because what's going to happen, it's going to go sit on here. So we're going to work our way in the same sort of shape as we've done on there. I'm going to press down. I want a flat front, so I don't want the front to flatten out too much. So as I'm bringing it back, the way I see this is it kind of reminds me of the shape of a dinosaur's back or something like that. It's kind of a triangle shape, but with a flat front. So we've got, okay, so this is going to sit on top of the shape that we've already got, the dome. with the rim going all the way around the outside. Hopefully we've got that same sort of shape as what goes on the top. So if I bring this up, again, a little bit of molding is fine. If you want to just stretch it out a little bit. So if I show you from the front sides, as you can see, we've now got a little bit of a rim all the way around. Okay, and finally the decoration I mentioned about the helmet is a couple of tiny little bits. We've got a tiny pinch of yellow, which we roll, and that, when I say tiny pinch, it's smaller than the 0.5. If it's bigger, it's fine. I just do a little bit at the front. If you want to do a full band all the way along the rim, sorry, not the rim, the top of the dome is fine. It's up to you. I'm going to take a little bit, and I just place this across the top and over the front very slightly on my helmet. It just runs along that top point. Yeah, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. Just a little bit of decoration. And then I'll take an even smaller pinch of red clay and just do a little tiny ball that will sit at the very front, on the front of the helmet, where that little bit meets. And it should look something like this, hopefully. Just a little bit at the front. Again, if you don't want to use red, you don't have to use red. You could use something else. It's not a problem at all. And I will just very quickly get that onto the head now. So I'm happy with that. So once you put it onto your head though, you might want to have to do a little bit of altering, a little bit of fiddling. So I'm going to put that on, sit it over the front. Now we should hopefully hide any missed parts of the hair. So as you can see, once I put it on there, I'm very happy with that. Around the back you can see there's still a little gap, which is what we'll do now. We'll put the brown, the brown that we saved for the ponytail. I'm going to take that very quickly now. Probably snap a little bit off. Now you can decorate how you want. If you don't want to do a ponytail, it's up to you. I'm basically just going to pinch one end to give it a flat end, bring the back out a little and curve it slightly. And I'll just place that up under the helmet. Use my tool to, if I don't throw it around, to just fill in any gaps where the head is showing. Again, trying to be careful with my other hand so I don't squish the rest of the body, the head too much. And we should have this kind of look here, like that. Okay. We're going to add this on to the body, which is just where the collar was. If I get the body, put the head on inside the collar, give them a gentle push down together, like so. We should end up with this, with the ponytail over the back. If you've got any problems with the clay not sticking, we always say all you need is a little bit of fresh clay on either bit that's trying to stick. So we've got this look now. We'll get the legs on, so grab the legs again, still sat there nicely. They will sit on the top there. Again, squish them together a little bit. We should now have this sort of shape. And I'm going to put them back in there for the time being and get the rest of the dark blue clay that we've got. And we are going to do her arms, sorry. Lid on, close that back up again. So the arms, we are going to do obviously two of them. We're going to do again a little tiny yellow band that, like we did around the body. We're going to do that on both arms. Okay, so the arms are going to be measured at 0.35 grams. So two of those 0.35s. Oops. I'm going to roll those ones out. 0.35. Fantastic. And like I said, we're going to roll those out into the arms, starting off as always, giving them a little roll, a little smooth into a ball. Okay, roll them out to roughly 2-3 centimeters. Use your creator card to check that. So I'm at 2.5 centimeters there. As long as they're both the same, it's okay. And before they dry out too much, I'm going to get my yellow clay for that yellow band that we're going to put on. Again, as before, it's tricky as in the amount of clay that you need. You only need obviously a small amount. And we're going to roll this out really, really thin again. So I've just taken a tiny pinch, probably less than 0.5 centimeter measurement on your creator card, and I'm going to roll this out again really thin, even if I can, all the way along. And this should give you more than enough clay for the 2 bands on the arm. So we are nearly finished now. It's just a matter of getting everything put together in the right place. And one final little measurement will be for our fire extinguisher. I'm going to put a fire extinguisher on in the hand of one of these, in the hand of one of these arms that we're going to do now. So I've rolled that out. I'm pretty happy. Now I've rolled this out to roughly 5 centimeters, maybe a touch more. Say that should be more than enough for me to do what I need to do on these bands. I'm going to cut that in half. Again, if it's not enough, we can always add more afterwards. And all you're going to do is take these bands and I'm going to put it around the end of one of these arms. If you don't quite meet, it's not a problem. As you can see on this one, I've gone all the way around and it doesn't quite meet there. It's okay, because that will be the bit that we put against the body. Same on the other one. Try and get it, whoops, now I've thrown it away. Try and get that in the same place. Again, mine doesn't quite meet, only slightly off. Stretch it a touch. So now it does meet. Okay. And then my 2 arms. I'm going to get the hands added to that and a fire extinguisher. So if we can get fire extinguisher measured out nice and quick, again, scales, and we're going to go for a 0.60 of red. If this is a little smaller, it's not a problem. It's better to be a little smaller on this measurement. So if it's just under 6, it's better than it would be over. So, oops. I'm at 5.9. Okay, so I'm at 0.59 for my measurement of my extinguisher. Roll it together, get rid of those lumps and bumps. And I'm just going to roll that into a little sausage. It's a little sausage shape, around 2.5-3 centimeters. Okay, I'm going to put them all together with one final thing, is a touch of black clay for basically the levers or the nozzle at the top of the fire extinguisher. So again, a tiny pinch of black clay. And there's no right or wrong here, it's the best way that you want to be able to try and make this shape. I will roll that into a tiny little sausage and try and pinch halfway through. Stick that kind of onto the top of my extinguisher. Once it's on, you can just kind of curve it slightly and do how you want. So I've just stuck it on and kind of curved slightly. Okay, let's get this all put together now and get this finalized. Okay, so we've got the main body done. I need my hands taken out. I'm going to add my hands firstly to my arms. So they are going to go on at the ends. If you want to put a little detail on, you can do. When I say detail, just some lines for fingers. Same again with the other one. And when we add this to our firefighter, we're going to place the fire extinguisher between the body and the arm. So, arm's going to go on towards the top of the body, near the shoulder, near the collar. And I will put the fire extinguisher on the inside of my left arm. You don't need to do that. If you want to put it on the right arm, it's fine. And like I say, we just pin it between the body. And then get the other arm on. With a gentle press to get them all in the right place. And we should have our finished firefighter. Hopefully yours has turned out something like that. But again, remember, if not, it's not a problem. If you've got slight differences, it's absolutely fine. Everybody's is going to be slightly unique. Okay, on to free play time. You can now obviously build onto your firefighter, give it a little bit more design, some more decoration, or you can build alongside. It's your decision. We will use basically 5 grams worth of free play clay. You can do 5 grams in any way you want. You can have one of every color, or a combination in that 5 grams using your scales. If you found that a little bit tricky and you want to try maybe measuring using the spoons, which is what we would use for our key stage 1, you can get spoons from claycreators.com, and you could use them, maybe try the key stage 1 version where we use them for the measuring, and again that would be now using a number 3 spoon for free play. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Final points would be the worksheets and word searches and things like that, which you can download again from claycreators.com. And if you are running low on clay and you want to make more models, again, visit claycreators.com to order some more. Okay, so again, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.